Okay, normally I wouldn't do something like this. I'd write it up and all before even attempting to make a video on a deck tech. Done so with my Simic Snakes, but Phage the Untouchable. Really nice, hard to play with card. To a lot of people, at least. Doesn't that actually sleep on the inside? Let's just. Can you see that text? Well, I'll just read it out loud. When Phage the Untouchable comes into play, if you don't play it from your hand, you lose the game. Whenever Phage the Untouchable deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature can't be regenerated. Yes, I'm stuttering because hard reading like this. Whenever Phage deals damage to a player, that player loses the game. So, you're probably wondering, because of that first part of her ability, how the fuck are you supposed to play her in a 100 card format? Well, there's plenty of ways. Give me a moment, I gotta find the card. Like, these 5 cards alone can produce a combo that is pretty much unbeatable if you don't counter any card or destroy any of the pieces. Lethal Vapors alone, if no one activates its 0 ability, which is destroy lethal vapors, you skip your next turn. Any player may play this ability. If no one does that before the end step, everyone else is going to die to Phage because of Endless Whispers. Sorry, I can't really get to focus, so I'll just read it to you. Each creature has, when this creature is put into the graveyard from play, choose target opponent. That player puts this creature card from that graveyard into play under his or her control at the end step. So, what happens then is, because of its first ability that I glossed over, is whenever a creature comes into play, destroy it. Which means you play Phage, she's immediately destroyed with this out. However, it's really shit if you don't have Endless Whispers out first. So, Endless Whispers, Lethal Vapors, then Phage. That's all Gucci, right? Not really. Because the moment Lethal Vapor comes out, they're just going to pay that 0 and destroy it because they don't know who you're going to pick if you're going to play Phage. Or they could end response if you're trying to resolve Phage. Which is why it does a Pithing Needle, which reads, as Pithing Needle enters the battlefield, name a card. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. So, you play Pithing Needle and name Lethal Vapors. Meaning, no one can pay that 0 ability and use it. Which means Lethal Vapors is on the field. That's all good and all, but what you then need is a Witchbane Orb, because we'll gloss over the curse part, there's not really much of a need. It says you have hexproof. You can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control, including aura spells. So, since Phage would die on their field and all, they get to choose by endless whispers who Phage would go to next and kill. Have this out, and you don't have to worry about them targeting you, even though with abilities and shit, you can just put it on the stack and have it to where you're going to resolve it on them before they can resolve it on you. But if you're lucky enough, or if they just don't care, they won't activate that zero ability because it literally can be dangerous skipping your turn. But who cares about that? Once you're in the end step, you may think you're safe to pay that zero ability, but if Phage is already destroyed by then from that card, as I was saying, if Phage is already safe from that card, also fuck Scam Likelies. If Phage is already played and Lethal Vapor's out and able to activate its trigger and kill Phage, pretty much it is bad for them. Because you hit your end step, this triggers, meaning no matter how much they try to activate that, you're just going to bury it at the bottom of the stack, no matter what. So it's end of the game for them. Unless they have something to where they don't lose the game. In that case, that would really be bad. Also, if you have a torpor orb out, while it may be good to use to summon Phage from the command zone, since the command zone does not count as your hand, it will prevent Lethal Vapors from working because it works with creatures. As it reads, creatures entering the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger. Meaning, her ability don't trigger, so you won't lose the game from her, sure, but Lethal Vapors won't trigger either. So you'll need to get rid of Torpor Orb, and if she's already in the field, you'll need to find a way to kill her. Which, for one part of the problem and all, you'll have cards like, well, pretty much this card, Phyrexian Tribute. Sacrifice 2 creatures to destroy target artifact. Meaning, if you have a Torpor Orb out, you could sacrifice 2 creatures, including Phage if you wanted to. Phage and some other creature, because all you need for this to work is Phage dying. And destroy Torpor Orb. So, there's not much they can do about that, unless they counterspell it. You even have stuff like Calling the Weak. Sacrifice a creature, add 4 mana to your mana pool. And look at that, she's a creature. So, there's ways to actually get rid of her if you had to use something like Torpor Orb just to get her onto the field. But there's also other cards like Lich's Mastery to prevent you from just dying. Which honestly, I think it's probably better to have out anyways. It has hexproof, so it cannot be targeted by your opponents. The most important part about it is you can't lose the game. And whenever you gain life, draw that many cards. That's nice. Play an Aetherflux Reservoir. Play an Aetherflux Reservoir. Have this out. Just play some spells and all, and you eventually just draw your entire deck. At that point, you could use any number of ways to win. A nice quick combo if you wish, or just Aetherflux, because it's pay 50 life, deal 50 damage to target a creature or player. Why would you want to target a creature when you can target the player? Whatever. And whenever you cast a spell, gain 1 life for each spell you cast this turn. It counts this card as well. That's a really nice card. Now, a downside to this one is whenever you lose life, for each 1 life you lost, exile permanent you control or card from your hand or graveyard. But the real kicker to that is when it leaves the field, you lose the game. So you'll need some other way to, well, not die. Now, another way to not die, if I can find it, if it's destroyed on your turn, you can Sundial, which is just you pay 1 mana and tap, and you just end the turn there. The you lose the game trigger does not trigger. It just gets exiled from the stack. Also, you could play Phage and instantly end the turn, which is another way to actually get her out, because it's not bad. But I really hope this surgical tape holds. Also, I have Hidden Horror out because Hidden Horror is, well, I needed some creatures and shit to sack and fodder. This is nice for mana. Magus of the Cough is also for mana. Whoa, who cares? Kurik, Son of Yawgmoth, is really good because Phyrexian mana is fucking broken. They shouldn't have never made that, honestly. As you can pay Phyrexian mana for a black or 2 life. It also has lifelink, so you can just recoup, just swing, and yeah. And it gives all your black cards, including Phage, Phyrexian mana. So instead of 7, it's 2, 4, 6, 8 life and 3 mana. It also has, whenever you cast a black spell, put 1/1 counter on Kurik, meaning you're just gonna beef him up. That's not bad. It's annoying, but not bad. This guy, well, just attack. If your attack goes through and all, wait, does it have to go through? Oh, only if this creature attacked this turn, so the attack doesn't have to be, okay, so the moment you declare an attack, if he attack, yeah, you can just activate the ability. Okay. Every time you attack, you can just search and just put a card on top of your deck. It's a nice tutoring fixing. And this is just mana adding. Actual land. A really great card draw. Even if this deck doesn't actually have much instants in it. You skip your draw step, so you don't deck out in any normal ways, which is nice because you can accidentally draw your entire deck with Phage the Flux Reservoir and Lich's Mastery. But it has tap 0, pay 1 life, exile top card of your library. At your end step, add it to your hand. Also, if you were to discard a card, you exile that card. This would be great for card draw. And it's an enchantment, so just stick around. Anyways. Just move that out. What did I put? Oh, did I put him in this pile? God damn it. Yes, I did. How dare I? These 3 cards here is another win condition. Sure, this alone could really win you the game, but Courage and something that just costs 2 black mana to play, so that's 4 life to play and 4 life because of its bottom text is return it to its hand. So have Phage the Flux Reservoir out and you eventually gain more life than you're losing, so you basically just keep paying life to bounce this card back to your hand and you just win due to having more than enough to burn the other 3 players. You'll also beef him up pretty nicely, so you could attack if you wanted to. Here's the other card I really like playing. Platinum Angel, you can't lose the game. It's nice to have out if you already have Lich's Mastery out too. Get rid of Lich's Mastery, that way you could just have Platinum Angel out and not having to rely on it, since you can get rid of it if you have another you can't lose a game effect or at Sundial, just end the turn. Now, a lot of times people will probably be confused on some other ways to summon Phage here. And one of the ways is to counter her, let her go to the grave, and then playing cards like a Foster Dredging, which reads, return up to 3 target creature cards of the creature type of your choice from your graveyard to your hand. Meaning she's an avatar minion, but I could just say minion, that way I could return Kuruk as well since he's a minion. So if somehow Kuruk and Phage is in the grave, well, I'm gonna get them both back into my hand. Some more mana. I could probably get rid of this if I wanted to. Gripgas is nice. The X-Door is also really nice. I play it. I could just play a black mana and just gain 1 life. All the opponent, well, gain 1 life per opponent's losing a life, which means I gain 3 life if it's a 4-player game, which is nice. But the real kicker is its bottom text. Whenever you tap a swamp for mana, add an additional black. That's right. I don't really know how I feel about this card, but discard any number of cards target player reveals his or her hand. Then you choose an online card from that each card discarded this way. That player discards those cards. What I like doing back in the day in 60 card decks is discarding my entire hand to make them discard it. Because why not? I didn't know if they had land or not. Coffin Queen is good because since there are Graveborn components in this deck, I like doing that. I could remove it for other shit, sure, but since there's Graveborn components, and you don't have to untap her, you can just tap her and get back something like, say, a Platinum Angel. Which means that'd be a great asset to get out. So personally, I'd rather a Shieldred or a Kuruk. Actually, a Shieldred, that way I have an engine to recur creatures every turn. And then here's meh. It's just a vampire child of night. There have to be sacrifices and shit like that. Ooh, zombie infestation. Discard 2 cards. Put a 2/2 black zombie creature token in the field. Which, yeah. There is an infinite combo in this deck that you discard enough cards. Hold up. I'm gonna just stack this. That to the side. If I come across it, I'll just lay it out. Anyways, hey, agreed. The nice part is, this is basically a free spell to play, because Kuruk, and it adds 3 mana. This is a 4 mana card, 4 and then 3. So, with this, I'm just playing it, and suddenly I have my entire deck in my hand, because Kuruk is 1 mana and then 2 life to draw a card. Where is... here we are. Add Elixir of Immortality into the mix. Suddenly, you have your entire library into your hand, which automatically gives you any number of ways to win. The Phage way, or just make an infinite number of zombie tokens by keep recycling that. As long as this is on the field, and so is these two. It's a bit slower than the other ways, but it's still a way to win in case some of the other ways is shut off somehow. Anyways, Order of Midnight. This is just return target creature card, and after it's exiled, you can cast it later for its mana cost too, to return it to your hand. Someone with card draw, you draw X card and lose X life, or X is your devotion to black. Not bad. Stunning Reversal, another way to where you don't lose. You could just hardcast Phage and this if you wanted to. The next time you would lose the game, this turn instead, draw 7 cards and your life total becomes 1. Then you exile Stunning Reversal. I'm just gonna make this stack over here all neat and not everywhere. Okay, more mana. A lot of the mana rock creatures, I can sacrifice them to produce stuff, but they're sometimes better not. And this is basically Cryptgas, but without the lifelink. However, it does get +1/+1 till end of turn for 1. So you can beef it up while using the mana for something else. Command Beacon! Oh, how it's a really good card. Move that out of the way. Now, for those of you that were wondering, Selmore, about these 5 here, yeah, it's not a 5-card combo, it's actually more so a 6-card combo, because you need something to get Phage into your hand in the first place. Just so you can play her next turn or that turn, whatever. Command Beacon is free, you just sacrifice it, and add your commander from your command zone to your hand. It's a 6-card combo. There's other things in here that would also do it, like Netherborn Altar, but you pay life for that and they can counter it. No one can ever counter lands. They can stifle the activated ability, sure, but they can't just counter it from being played. Which, if you stifle the ability, your next turn you can just tap the land anyways. Ooh, Mirror of Fate. This is a neat card I was obsessive about because it retrieves from exile. There's very few cards that do that. In fact, this is the only one I know of, unless it's face down exile. There's also an infinite combo with this to where you basically draw your entire deck and play it through exile and all. It says sacrifice Mirror of Fate, choose up to 7 cards, face up exile cards you own, exile all other cards from your library, then put the chosen cards on top of your library. Which, as you can guess, these two have a nice history. If you have a good enough amount of mana, it may not be infinite, but there is an infinite combo with it. Might as well put him out. I haven't drawn the card that would allow it to be infinite yet, but we're getting there. This one, you'll target yourself because target player draws 2 cards. Obviously, who cares about life? Life in Commander is 40 starting. This is a nice tutor. Search your library for a card, put that card in your hands and shuffle. But the spell mastery, if there are 2 or more instants and or sorcery cards in your graveyard, add 3 to your mana pool. So basically, you're casting it for 2 and putting some mana in your mana pool so you can cast something else as well. Preferably the card you searched for. So for a 5 mana card, that's not bad. I'll put it up here with the other tutor. The tutor on stick. This one, Black Market, is a nice one. Whenever a creature dies, put a charge count on Black Market. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, basically main 1, add black mana to your mana pool for each charge counter on Black Market. If you don't know how mana really works, you add it to a pool, and if you change phases and all, it empties from that pool. So, in your main phase, you have all this mana to deal with till you change phases. There are cards, very old cards to get around that, but very few in between. They even deal with an archaic mechanic called Mana Bone, but don't worry about that. No one cares. Though I miss it. Anyways, Priest of Yawgmoth. One of the other cards that allows you to get rid of artifacts. However, it's your own artifact, so you can also get rid of Torpor Orb. If you want to. But when you do that, you add to your mana pool the amount of mana that artifact produced. But I read it originally, thought you had to tap the artifact. No, you tap him and sacrifice the artifact. Or if you really had nothing better to do, you could just sacrifice your Mirror of Fate. Since how often is it that people are going to be exiling your commander? Like, it's not every time someone to have Mindslaver or something, which is a fucking annoying card to deal with if you don't counter it. Or a certain type of sword marker, but eh. And ad nauseum, one of the key cards to competitive, same with Necropotence. Actually, one of the two best draw cards in black. Reveal top card of your library. You put that card into your hand, you lose life equals to its CMC, or converted mana cost. You may repeat this process any number of times. As in, repeat it till you feel like not repeating it anymore. The CMC is the number right there with the pips there, the symbols. So together, 3 and those 2, it's 5. Cabal Ritual, that's not bad. It is a black deck after all, so it should be easy to reach threshold. 7 or more cards in a graveyard. So instead of 3, you'll get 5 mana for 2. Less than for 2 if you have him out, or Jet Medallion, which we'll get to eventually. Darthy Embrace. For if you want to actually just swing with Phage instead of doing any fancy combo or shenanigans. Like, those times till you just need to swing. As it's black, target creature gains shadow until end of turn. And a creature with shadow can only block another creature with shadow. You can also use it as a nice politicking card in a multiplayer game. Give your opponent's creatures with shadow and all. Or if somehow they have that archaic shadow mechanic there, give someone else shadow so they can block. If only there's a way to give others horsemanship. Oh well. Now, this card here is not black, but it is artifact destruction. I can have it to destroy Torpor Orb or destroy other cards. It's really a great multi-use card. Most of the cards in this deck I like being multi-use, because I hate for a deck to fall into one hole of only doing one thing. But the problem with black is there's not enough black counter spells. It's about, well, the best one is $700. I have no money for that. But no boot. It's top 2 and discard your hand. The discarding of your hand is part of the cost, so you have to do it. Even if your hand size is 0, that you paid the cost. Anyways, counter target non-creature spell. As in anything else you can counter as long as it's not a creature. It's one of the few counter spells that I find funny, or that you'll probably see in a black deck. Ooh, here we go. Netherborn Altar. Put a soul counter on Netherborn Altar. Put your commander into your hand from the command zone. Then lose 3 life per soul counter. Not bad, not bad. I prefer a different card such as command zone over that. But not bad. Exhume. Each player puts a creature card from his or her graveyard onto the battlefield. Not bad. Again, we have some nice reanimation for stuffing creatures, sacrificing creatures, or just putting it from your hand into the grave. You don't want to do that with Phage here. No. Not unless you actually just want to play a more control style and have Torpor Orb out the whole time. And went through a different way instead of that 6-card combo. Necromantic Summons. It's a reanimation card, but they also get +1/+1 if you have 2 or more instants or source. It's pretty much meh. It's only in there because why not? I had no other. I didn't think of any other choices. But one of the best tutors in the game, the Demonic Tutor. Search a card for a deck. Search a deck for a card. Put it into your hand. It's one of the better ones because it's a 2-drop. And Witch's Cottage, well, if it comes in untapped, the best part is you take a creature from your graveyard into your hand. That's pretty much it. Beseech the Queen. You can pay either 6 mana, combination of it, or 3 black mana, combination of either of those. Even says right through here, the total CMC is counted as 6. Anyways, this is just a 3 mana search a deck for a card. Thought I knocked over my chair. Here's the other part of that infinite combo. Blood Celebrant. Tap a black, pay 1 life, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. This is a replacement effect. That black is now Phyrexian mana. It replaces any, and I mean any cost in a card. So basically pay 3 life, add a mana to your mana pool. Okay, now we just need a Platinum Angel out, and whoopsies. Even if we didn't have Platinum Angel out, since you start at 40 life anyway, and there's a lot of ways to get life back, including this, pretty much you can just recycle the loop over and over, even if you don't make it infinite. It would still be more than enough to overwhelm your opponent. Now, Dragon Shadow. Equipped creature gains fear. It can only be blocked by black creatures or artifact creatures, and it gets +1/+1. But with this card recurs itself because whenever you play a creature with casting cost 6 or more, you may opt to take it from the grave and attach it onto the creature. So, say I play Phage, whoops, it goes from the grave to Phage. Don't ask me how to get it into the grave, who gives a fuck. Now, Entomb. Search a deck for a card, put it into the grave. That's it. That's pretty much it for that card. It's really not bad. It's just Entomb. Put that with cards to get stuff from your grave into your hand. And pretty much all the stuff that says put card into a grave is, you could just say put card into your hand. So there's a lot of pseudo tutors as well as actual tutors. Now, this card here, Vein of Filth, now that I think about it, I probably don't need it in this deck, as it's a sorcery. Oh, nope, it's an instant. Each time you control again, sacrifice it, add 1 black to your mana pool until end of turn. So there's probably some other things, like if I add it, it's just on a scepter back to copy this onto that so I can play it every turn if I wanted to. That would be funny, but it wouldn't be that great unless I had Crypt Gas, Narcana Revenant, you know, just a lot of shit to double my mana pool for each time I tap a black, so I could tap a black, add 6 mana per 1 black plus the 1 extra for sacrificing it, so 7 mana for tapping 1 black or 1 swamp. Having that every turn, then the other ones, that'd be nice, I guess. I also wouldn't advise tapping out all your mana like that and then sacrificing it unless you know you have enough cards and all in your hand and such to force a win that turn, or try to, because essentially that's a all or nothing play. Now this is a fun Stormy card, Borlas's Citadel. You may look at the top card of your deck anytime, and you may play the top card of your library. If I cast a spell this way, pay life equal to the converted mana cost rather than pay the spell's mana cost. That right there makes it one of the best and scary cards in the game. It's up there with Gurrit. One of the best Storm cards out there, as it basically gives every card, no matter what, Phyrexian mana. It's like, what the fuck, man? That's just fucking broken. Extra land. Some card draw. This is pretty meh, but you draw 3 cards and lose 3 life. 4 mana, it's honestly whatever. More mana. Tap an untapped creature you control out of mana. It's pretty nice if you don't really plan on attacking and such. Shieldred! Yeah. It's not a melee ability, so you're forced to bring your creature back. So if this is the only one in your graveyard, you have no other way to protect yourself, and comes your upkeep, you will fucking lose because this trigger will proc. Oh god. Now, where was it? It was in here somewhere. Wasn't that far up, god damn it. Here we are. Hidden Horror. If Hidden Horror's in your grave, you can keep bringing it back and letting it kill itself. That way, you pretty much shut off Shieldred till you can get a different creature in the grave, such as a Platinum Angel. So you won't die to your own Phage. Like I say, multi-use cards, sack outlet, and a niche way to save yourself. Very niche. Put that storm card. Oh, right here. I guess I'll line up the storm cards there now. Ooh, this is nice. Throw Wizard. Black counterspell on a stick. It's pretty much 3 mana for a Is that a 1/1? Yeah, a 1/1 that's 1 in a black, counter target black spell. Unless its controller plays black or 3. Pretty much. Swamp. Grim Discovery. You can return a land and or creature from your grave to your hand. That's nice. This is really nice. Cabal Stronghold. First off, this is better than the other Cabal, but it's only better because you can just tap it for colorless mana. And it's 3 and tap, add a swamp, add black for each swamp you control. So essentially you can get a shit ton of mana out and just cheat a lot of mana out. This you could, if you need an additional land drop and all, it's mana fixing. You play it, sacrifice to get land, play it. And this goes well with Correct, as black spells cost 1 less to play. Essential. Really essential for mono black. If only I had other ways to copy it. I could Toy Maker and Helm of the Host, but that's too much jank for my taste. Cards select the Great Distortion. Really nice. If you cast him, you can just refill your hand. I don't know what Menace is. I don't give a fuck, but it's mostly there for discard a card, pretty much counter a target spell if you discard the same mana cost as what that card is costing. Is it a creature? No, it's just a card. Pretty much have him out early on and you can just counter anything as long as you have the right mana. Sign in Blood. Target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. Most of the time you'll be drawing. Why wouldn't you? Emergent Zone gives you flash. So you could Necropotence, go to your end step, get about 40 or 39 or whatever cards into your hand, sacrifice this, you have flash, you can play all of those cards if you have any fast mana and such. If you don't, then that fucking sucks. And you gambled for nothing. Now, Bloodgift Demon. At the beginning of your upkeep, target player draws a card and loses 1 life. Why wouldn't you target yourself? Grave Purge. You can either use it as a card draw itself or search for a creature and put it into your hand. Not search for, my bad, or draw a card. Whoops. Bubbling Muck. You pretty much just double the mana. I am thinking about getting a Umbral Mantle for the deck. Because I can make infinite mana with it and a different card called Magus of the Cabal. I think it could, I don't know. Anyways, double to the search. Font of Return. Pretty much you pay for it after you playing it, so 6 in total to get how many creatures back? Up to 3 to your hand. Cabal Coffers, short cost 1 less, but for each swamp you control, you get mana. Yeah, it's not bad. Whoops. What did I do? That was an accident. Anyways, Buried Alive. Search for 3 creature cards. Up to 3, put them into your grave, and basically just search for 3 cards. This was one fucking expensive card. Even if they say it's damage. Painter's Servant. When it enters the battlefield, choose a color. All cards are that color, in addition to the others. Pretty much, all the cards are now black. So, they get discounted from this. And, well, all your 1 mana rocks and all, they're pretty much free to play. It's a really good card for Storm. Charcoal Diamond, not that great. It enters top, but you need mana for something. You especially need mana if you ain't gonna have 32 lands in a 100 card deck. So you need a lot of instances of mana. Withering Boon! Pay 3 life, counter target creature. Basically, if they don't counter it, you'll get away with sending Phage to the graveyard. And then here's something that's really funny. Stop that camera from going down like that. Stop that. Whatever. Who gives a fuck now? Sacrifice. Sacrifice one of your creatures, add that much mana to your mana pool. So, for that 6 card combo, if you for some reason need a way to kill Phage, you have plenty of ways to sacrifice Phage. And this one just, you kill her to add 7 mana. That's it. Which is pretty neat in of itself. I'm not forgetting anything, am I? Probably. Oh god. Taking this deck apart like this was a fucking bad idea. Now I have to shuffle it back. While this deck does seem simple, it's not. It's fucking complicated as hell to run. Whoops. Supposed to put Calling of the Week over here in the mana pot. Yeah. This deck is really fucking complicated to run. Sadly, there's only 5 pure tutors. I'm tempted to actually get more better tutors and all. Sure, there's tutors that you just put on top of the deck instead of directly into your hand, but they cost less. Not money-wise, they're fucking expensive, but what I'm saying is they cost less to play. Also, with Painter's Servant here, if you make everything black, this can counter everything. Because he only counters black spells. So it's another great synergy that I didn't even think of when getting them. This here is just mostly for the codec interaction. Why not? And Aether Flux Reservoir, also for mostly the codec interaction only. The only one I truly wanted myself was the Phage 6 card combo interaction, which if you're gonna have to counter her, it'd probably be around the 7 or 8 card combo, maybe 9, who knows. But it's not that bad. And you can always just search for it. And somewhat, since the only creature is in your command zone that you can summon anytime almost. The rest you do have to use the tutors and such, or card draw and all. just to dig through the deck and find it, to the point to where it's probably better to get one of the other win conditions and win. And since she's always available, you'll probably just torpor or play her and just swing. Probably. Shut everyone else down and just swing. Though I would definitely torpor orb and swing if I knew they'd have something like a Thassa's Oracle in the deck, because torpor orb just shuts down that then. Like, completely shuts it down. Seriously. Oh, here's Magus of the Coffers. Whoops. It's top 2 and it. Yeah, it's pretty much the Coffer lands, but as a creature on a stick. If I have Humble Mantle, which would allow me to untap him, I'd just generate infinite mana with him. As long as I have 1 extra mana than it costs to untap the mantle. Or use the mantle to untap him, which is about 3, so... Well, I could just keep using the mana he generates then. I should be able to, as long as I have at least 4 swamps. Let's go through the mana sources again. I wasn't really talking about the lands because they're evident you need lands to play shit. So I only have 18 lands. 4 are non-basic lands. I also like OG arts like that because why not? This I can probably get rid of, but when it enters battlefield, add 2 lands from your field to your hand. However, if you have about 1 or less lands, you could just add it to play this, add them to your hand anyways. And it's add 2 mana of any 1 color to your mana pool. So if you already have 1 or no lands, it's a great benefit to have out. Other than that, I could get rid of it for a better mana rock and all. Who gives a fuck? Cryptcast is really good. This is meh. One of the most broken cards in Magic. They won't ever ban it. It's everywhere too, out of fucking common and all other sets. Just tap it at 2 mana. That's it. Just 2 colorless mana. That's it. And it only costs 1 to play. So you can imagine just playing this and ramping into other ridiculous shit. Like, yeah, into this, which you tap and add colorless. Anyways. Mox imprint. You exile a card and pretty much that's imprinted, and then you just tap it, add color of an imprinted card. Which is also a 0 up here, so you could just play this without having to tap any lands from mana. And this is good because you discard a card, add a black mana to your mana pool. Pretty much, if you have any cards you theme useless or whatever, just field them for mana. Who gives a fuck, really? Lotus Petal, sack it, add a mana. And this, doesn't untap during your untap step. And during your upkeep, it does 1 damage to you, but that's the only time you can untap it. Other than that, you just tap it, add 3 mana. This, pretty much add any one of it. It's pretty much add black mana, but Just add whatever mana to mana pool in a 5 color or whatever color decks. Doesn't really fucking matter, honestly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 18 lands, but all in total, 42 instances of mana. That should be more than enough for a 100 card deck. Literally. I would like Torpor Orb. This deck can be controlling. It can be fast. It can be other shit as well. I just can't think of the name. But a lot of the times you probably, depending on what decks everyone brings and shit, you might want to play this a lot faster and all. Because, really, a lot of creatures have into the battlefield effects, and that just hoses them all. Think of it as a floodgate in Yu-Gi-Oh! It just says no. Like, whatever that fucking card was called to where you can't act. Oh, Jinzo. Yeah, it just disables all traps, pretty much. Other than that, it's a pretty successful deck. I would show you the first couple draws and shit of the hands, but I don't feel like spending an hour reshuffling it. Once you put a deck together, you're supposed to spend an adequate amount of time just shuffling it. That way, the next time you shuffle it, it won't be a fucking mess. Like, after you play a deck, you're supposed to shuffle it. Yu-Gi-Oh! Or whatever, any card game that requires shuffling, you're supposed to shuffle after. And when you freshly put a deck together, shuffle the damn thing. Otherwise, you're going to get mana flooded or mana screwed. And mana flooded means you draw nothing but mana. Mana screwed means you draw no mana. Pretty much. Man. This was just me showing off the deck, I suppose. Next time I'm just gonna type up a primer before I do anything. I honestly should have just typed up a primer first instead of just making this. Or an elaborate thing on top of 3 fucking deck boxes just so the webcam is pointing down. I could also move my TV back, that way I didn't really have to have it somewhat paying attention to that. It shouldn't be doing that, but it is. And that fucking sucks. There we go, ish. Anyway, yeah. That was my Phage the Untouchable deck. Which I know you all just don't give a fuck about it. I don't know why, if I decide to upload this on YouTube or not. If I do, I don't know why the fuck y'all even click on it. Like, seriously, why the fuck would you do that?
But for people that I'm sharing this to and that know how long it fucking took for some cards to get in the mail, you asked for it. You asked for something this fucking long. Though honestly, when I said I was gonna go in depth, I did kind of want to explain all the combos and shit, but I realized, no, that's just fucking too much without making up a primer itself. It's better to just throw an unscripted video together without reading off a script or a piece of paper or what have you. At least in my case, as once you just start jumping into it, you just start talking and won't stop. But yeah, I honestly did expect fuck it.